want to start this off by saying, I know how this sounds. I know that by the time I finish telling you this, some of you are going to think I made it up. Some of you are going to think I was stressed or sleep deprived, or that I let the atmosphere of that place get inside my head. And maybe that's easier. Maybe that's the version you need to walk away with tonight. But I was there, and I know what I saw. So let me take you back to the beginning, before any of it happened, back to when this was still the best thing that had ever happened to me. I was 24 years old, and I had been in Los Angeles for exactly 6 months. 6 months of survival jobs, of splitting a 2-bedroom with 3 other people, of telling everyone back home that it was going great when most days it was barely going at all. I was doing the thing everyone told me was impossible, actually trying to make it work in this city. And most days the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be felt like something I could not see across. And then the email came. I remember exactly where I was sitting when I read it. I remember the specific way my stomach dropped and then immediately flipped into something that felt like electricity. A production assistant position, the Ellen DeGeneres Show, Warner Brothers lot, Burbank. I texted my group chat before I even finished reading it. I posted a vague, something big just happened story within the next 10 minutes. I called my mom and she screamed louder than I did. I screenshotted the offer letter and looked at it 4 more times that night just to make sure it was real. And here's the thing you have to understand. This wasn't just a job to me. Growing up, Ellen's show was background noise in my house every single morning. My mom watched it while she was getting ready for work. I would hear that theme music from my bedroom and know exactly what time it was, know exactly what the morning felt like, know that things were normal and okay and fine. That show was the sound of safety to me, the sound of home. So walking onto the Warner Brothers lot on my first day with a badge around my neck and a headset in my hand, it didn't just feel like a career win. It felt like walking into a memory, like something had come full circle in a way I didn't have the words for yet. The studio was everything I thought it would be, and then some. Stage 1 was massive and loud and alive in the way that only live television sets are alive. Controlled chaos, running on caffeine and communication, and the specific energy of people who are very good at their jobs moving very fast. I was completely in love with all of it from the first hour. The crew took me in fast. They were tight-knit and funny and exhausted in the good way, the way that comes from doing something you actually care about. I fit in. I was good at the job. For the first few weeks, everything was genuinely, completely great. And then about 3 weeks in, I'm sitting at lunch with a small group of crew members I'd gotten close to. Easy conversation, joking around, nothing unusual. And someone mentions offhand that they saw me almost make eye contact with Ellen in the hallway that morning. The table went quiet, not dramatically, just quieter. One of the older crew members, someone who had been there for years, leaned across the table and said it plainly. No buildup, no softening. You do not make eye contact with her in the hallways. If you see her coming, you look at the floor. You don't speak unless she speaks first. You don't exist to her unless she needs you to exist. I laughed. I genuinely thought it was a hazing thing. A welcome to the show prank for the new girl. I looked around the table waiting for someone to crack a smile and tell me they were joking. Nobody did. I played along anyway. Did a dramatic voice. I shall not gaze upon the most dangerous woman in daytime television. A couple of people laughed, nervously. The older crew member didn't laugh at all, just held eye contact with me for a moment and said, I'm not joking. I still didn't fully believe it. I filed it away as workplace quirk and moved on. Told myself it was just what working for a big celebrity was like. Told myself I'd heard stranger things. But that night I went home and I pulled up a few clips online, just out of curiosity, and I started reading the comments. Former audience members talking about how the moment the cameras cut, she went completely silent, stone-faced, like a switch thrown. Staff accounts describing hallways that felt different when she was in them. Interviews that felt less like conversations and more like something else entirely. I put my phone down and looked at the ceiling for a while. I told myself it was just the internet being the internet. I almost believed it. It was a double taping day. I remember that specifically because double taping days have a rhythm to them, a particular kind of controlled exhaustion that sets in around hour 6 and doesn't let up until you're finally in your car driving home. By the time the second taping wrapped, I had been on my feet for 11 hours. My headset had left a mark on my ear. I'd eaten half a granola bar at some point and called it lunch. I was running my post-show cable route. The audience had cleared out. Most of the crew was breaking down the secondary set pieces on the far side of the stage. The house lights were dimmed down to work level. That flat utilitarian glow that makes everything look slightly less real than it did an hour ago. I had my clipboard. I had my checklist. I was moving through my route the way you move through something you've done so many times it lives in your body instead of your brain. I came around the backside of the stage toward the shadow lane, and I heard my name, a woman's voice, calm, conversational, almost warm, the way you'd call across a room to someone you knew well. I turned toward it. She was standing at the exact edge of the shadow line, the precise place where the work light ended and the flat black began, like she had measured it, like she knew exactly how much light she needed to be visible and had chosen to stand at the very boundary of it on purpose. Gray blazer, dark pants, white sneakers, that smile. I want to stop here and try to explain the smile to you because I think this is the moment. This is where something should have told me to turn around and walk the other way. The smile was almost right. That's what made it so unsettling in a way I couldn't name yet. It wasn't monstrous. It wasn't grotesque. It was her face, her smile, except wider by just a few millimeters than a human smile should go. Like someone had studied thousands of photographs of smiling and reconstructed it from the outside in and gotten it almost exactly right. Almost. Come here a second, she said. I need to show you something. I didn't hesitate. She was the boss. You don't question it. I walked toward her. The moment I crossed the shadow line, the crowd noise from the far side of the stage cut off. Not faded, not dimmed. Cut. Like a hand thrown over a speaker. One step and the world behind me went completely silent. Pale yellow work light. Flat black walls on every side, just us. She turned to face me fully and her eyes moved. Slowly, deliberately, from my feet upward, not to my face. They stopped at my neck, stayed there. And the way she was looking at it was not the way a person looks at another person. It was the way you look at something you are deciding about. She took one step closer than another. The conversation that followed was calm, almost pleasant. She asked how I was settling in, whether I liked the crew, whether I was sleeping okay. Each question brought her one step closer, and I didn't step back, and I cannot explain to you why I didn't step back. Every instinct I had was registering something wrong, and my body simply would not respond to it. Her perfume reached me, expensive, floral, but underneath it something else, something that had no name, but that the oldest, most animal part of my brain recognized immediately. A warning. This is not safe signal firing over and over and going completely ignored. She leaned in close. her face inches from the right side of my neck, and her breath hit my skin, and it was cold. Not cool, not the cold of air conditioning or an open window. Cold the way the inside of something long dead is cold. Cold that had no business coming out of a living person. Her lips were almost touching my skin when she whispered it. "You smell just like my favorite jerky dinner." I felt the smile stretch against my neck, wider than before, wider than it should go. The teeth came slowly. That was the worst part, the deliberateness of it. Canines first pressing through, then the ones beside them, and I could feel each one individually, and I could not move, could not speak, could not pull away. One hand came to rest on my shoulder, gently, almost tenderly, the way you'd steady something you were about to pick up. On the far side of the stage, I could hear two crew members laughing about something, completely unaware. 30 feet away, and in a completely different world, the bite came. The pain was white and total, and then it was nothing. I woke up screaming. Not a gasp, not a movie wake up. Screaming. Full voice, sitting straight up in my bed, both hands slammed against the right side of my neck before I even knew I was awake. My roommate came running, threw the light on. I pulled my hands away from my neck and looked at them. Nothing on my hands. I touched my neck again, slowly this time. Two small marks, raised, precise, side by side on the right side of my neck, exactly where the teeth had been. My roommate was in the doorway asking me what happened, and I could not answer her because I was still trying to locate myself in time. I had been at work. I had been on the cable route. I had been standing in the shadow lane, and she had been right there, and it had been real. The weight of the headset, the smell of the studio, the cold of her breath, all of it had been completely, entirely, indistinguishably real. I told myself pillow crease, said it out loud, shirt button. I'm fine, go back to bed. I went to the bathroom and stood at the mirror. The marks were there, and beyond the marks, my eyes. The capillaries across both eyes were burst, completely blown, like I had been screaming for a very long time before I woke up. Like my body had been living every second of it while my mind was somewhere else, entirely trying to catch up. I stood at that mirror for a long time without moving. Then I went back to bed and lay there with every light on until morning. I went to work the next day. I did my job. I walked past the shadow lane 3 times and did not look at it once. I told myself it was just a dream for exactly 3 days. Then I saw her for the first time outside of one. I went back to work the next day because I didn't know what else to do. I told myself the marks were nothing. I told myself the dream was a stress response. 11-hour days, poor sleep, a new city, a high-pressure job. I told myself there was a rational explanation for all of it and that I just hadn't found it yet. But I started following the rule. Not because I believed in it, not yet, but because something had shifted in me the night of the dream, and I could not shift it back. So I kept my eyes on the floor in the hallways. I looked at my clipboard when she passed. I looked at the walls, the cables, my own shoes, anything that wasn't her face. I made myself small and invisible, and I moved through that building like a person who had learned very quickly that some things were not worth the risk of finding out. And because I was now hyper aware of where my own eyes went, I started noticing where everyone else's eyes went too. Most of the crew had it down. Eyes down, heads slightly turned. The practiced invisibility of people who had learned the rules so long ago, they didn't think about it anymore. It was just how they moved through the building, like muscle memory, like survival instinct that had been there so long it stopped feeling like instinct. But the newer ones, the ones who hadn't been there long enough, they looked, just for a second, just a glance. The way you can't help but glance at something that commands every room it walks into. And I would watch it happen in real time. I would watch the moment their eyes went up. I would watch Ellen's eyes find them back. And something in my stomach would drop every single time. I started watching Twitch. He was hard to miss on any given day. One of the most magnetic people on that lot. The kind of person every room reorganized itself around without him asking it to. But I started noticing things that didn't line up with that. He was showing up to tapings, looking depleted in a way that went beyond tired. Not like someone who needed sleep, like someone who was being pulled from somewhere they couldn't name. There were rooms he stopped going into. I noticed because noticing is my job. He used to cut through the back corridor near the shadow lane without thinking twice. Then one day he stopped, started taking the long way around, every single time without exception. One afternoon I passed him in the hallway and he looked at me, really looked at me. And I saw something in his face I recognized immediately because I had seen it in my own mirror. Not fear exactly, something past fear. The look of someone who had been afraid for so long, the fear had become part of the furniture. I almost said something. I opened my mouth. He shook his head, just slightly. Just once. We never talked about it. But he knew. And he knew that I knew. I think about that hallway a lot. Because I think that was him telling me he was still in it. Still inside whatever this was. And I didn't know what to do with that. I still don't. 4 days after the dream, I went to Target in the middle of the afternoon. Bright store, busy, fluorescent lights, and cart noise, and a woman arguing with a self-checkout machine near the entrance. As normal gets. I felt the cold first. That specific cold, sourceless. Arriving with no explanation in a temperature-controlled room full of people. I looked up, end of the aisle, motionless, gray blazer, dark pants, white sneakers, smiling, in a store full of moving, browsing, completely ordinary people, absolutely still, the way things are still when they are not actually alive. I blinked, gone. I left my cart where it was and walked out. That was the first time. It was not close to the last. Over the next 6 weeks, I documented 27 sightings. Parking garage on a Tuesday afternoon, the laundromat at midnight, the gym mirror behind me, where the wall was, where nothing should have been, the 101 freeway overpass at 65 miles per hour, standing above the traffic, head turning slowly to follow my car as I passed underneath. Each time, same outfit, same stillness, same smile, and each time closer than the time before. Then my friend came to visit from back home. First time I'd agreed to go anywhere in weeks. Corner booth, good food, easy conversation. For the first time in 6 weeks, I felt almost like a person again. She stopped mid-sentence. Hey, is that? I felt the cold before I even looked up. Don't look at her, I said. Too fast, too sharp, too late. She looked. And across the restaurant in a corner booth by the window, gray blazer, dark pants, white sneakers, Ellen opened her mouth just slightly and ran her tongue slowly across her upper teeth. We left. My friend called me the next morning, voice quiet and shaking in a way I had heard before, in my own voice, standing at my own mirror. I had a dream last night. I was at work and I heard someone call my name from somewhere dark and I followed it and there was a woman and I stopped her. I asked her to check the right side of her neck. Silence. Then, how did you know that? I had spread it. Just by being near someone I loved. Just by existing in the same room while it was still attached to me. My mom had been texting every day that week asking why I'd gone so quiet. I stared at my phone for a long time. I didn't text back. It was a regular taping day when everything changed. I was running my backstage route, headset on, clipboard in hand, moving through the motions the way I had trained myself to. Keep your eyes down, stay in your lane, do the job, don't think about the cold, just survive the day and get home. I came around the corner near the wings and almost walked directly into Dakota Johnson. She was standing just off stage waiting to go on. Completely still, completely calm. And I mean calm in a way that nobody backstage before an Ellen segment ever was. Every guest that came through those wings was either performing confidence or quietly terrified. Dakota looked like neither. She looked like someone who had already made a decision before she ever stepped foot on the lot that morning and was simply waiting for the moment to execute it. I almost kept walking. I stopped. I still don't fully know what made me say it. Maybe it was 6 weeks of sightings. Maybe it was my friend's voice on the phone that morning still shaking. Maybe it was thinking about Twitch in that hallway shaking his head at me with that look I knew too well. Whatever it was, I said it quietly, quickly, almost under my breath, like I was afraid someone would hear me. Hey, just don't look directly at her when you're out there. Keep your eyes somewhere else if you can. Dakota looked at me, really looked at me, not confused, not dismissive. The way someone looks at you when they are deciding exactly how much you actually know. Then she said it. That's the thing about her, though. Once you actually see her, really see her, you can't unsee it. The trick isn't to avoid looking. The trick is to not be afraid of what you see. And I'm going to show everyone today that you don't have to be afraid. She straightened her jacket. Watch. And she walked out onto that stage. I watched the whole interview from the wings on a monitor. I watched Dakota sit across from her and hold eye contact like it cost her absolutely nothing. I watched Ellen try to redirect, try to reframe, try to steer the conversation back to ground she controlled. And Dakota didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't perform discomfort for the audience's comfort. The birthday party, the pushback, all of it delivered with a calm that was almost surgical. And then I watched Ellen's face in the exact moment she realized that the person sitting across from her was not going to fold. I had worked on that lot long enough to know every version of that face. The camera smile, the hallway face, the in-between face when she thought no one was paying attention. I had cataloged all of them without meaning to. I had never seen this one. Uncertainty, just for a second, just a crack. But it was there. Dakota came off stage and passed me without fully stopping, just slowed down enough. That's how you do it, she said. Don't be afraid. And she was gone. I stood in the wings and stared at the monitor. Ellen was already mid-transition to the next segment. Smile reconstructed, performance fully resumed. The audience was clapping right on cue. But I had seen the crack. And standing there in the wings for the first time in 6 weeks, I noticed something else. The cold was gone, completely, totally, gone. For the first time since the dream, I could breathe. And I finally understood what I had to do. If this story kept you up tonight, like, comment, and subscribe, because Ellen is not the only one. There are more names, more sets, more things hiding behind famous faces. And I've been looking. The next story drops soon. Don't miss it.